Welcome to Canterbury Cast, the podcast where you'll find sermons, conversations, and all things Canterbury UMC. We're glad you're here.
Welcome to Canterbury Cast. I'm your host, Jeff Nix, and today we're talking about one of the most joyful and imaginative new traditions we share here at Canterbury, Storybook Christmas. This family-friendly Christmas Eve service brings the story of Jesus' birth to life in a whole new way, using puppets, storytelling, and plenty of fun for kids and grown-ups alike. I'm joined today by Eleanor Christiansen and Tori Hastings to talk about what makes this service so special and why it's such a meaningful way for families to celebrate Christmas together. Storybook Christmas will be held December 24th at 1 p.m. in Canterbury Center, and we hope you'll join us. So, Eleanor, tell us about Storybook Christmas. What exactly is it?
Well, we wanted to have a service where families, with all the excitement that comes with Christmas Eve, could come and just be themselves, let their hair down and relax, and really soak up what we feel like is the natural message of joy that comes along with the Christmas Eve service. And knowing that children really learn best by playing, we tried to create a service that was highly sensory, very interactive. We wanted them to have a part in it without having to do a whole bunch of rehearsals during a busy season. And so Storybook Christmas was born.
Wonderful. Why do you think kids connect so well with this kind of storytelling?
Well, you know, adults, when we look at puppets, we're like, oh my, I don't know, puppets. But children love seeing animals talk. It just tickles their imagination in kind of a way that I think helps them enter the story in a new way. So having talking animals that help tell the Christmas story is one of those ways that we invite kids to feel playful as they are engaging the story of Jesus being born into the world.
What do you hope families walk away with after experiencing Storybook Christmas?
Well, one of the feelings that I experience year after year when I enter a Christmas Eve service is that feeling of awe, this moment of realization that I am loved so much that God came down to this earth to be close to me, to know me, to see me, to understand what it is like to be a human being. That's a profound kind of love that God did not have to do. And that moment, every Christmas Eve, is just one of those where my chest feels a little tighter and I breathe a little deeper because that message is so profoundly joyful for me. And I want kids to experience that kind of awe. And sometimes we associate awe with these profound statements or a moment of solemnity, like where we are so serious. But honestly, I think Christmas Eve, way back when, had to be chaotic and a little wild and lots of unexpected things. And the more we can recreate a little bit of that for kids to experience, the more I think we will help them get in touch with that experience of awe that is age appropriate for them. And honestly, for me as an adult, as I watch them experience it.
Wonderful. Well, speaking of wild,
yes.
Let's talk about puppets for a minute.
Yes.
Tell us about these puppets.
Well, we do. We have all the traditional puppets making an appearance this year. We have a donkey and a camel. We have a cow and a sheep, and we have a dove right over here sitting beside me. And all of those speakers, all of those characters help tell one part of the Christmas story in a fun way. And another piece of Storybook Christmas that is a lot of fun is that kids have the opportunity to dress up as some of the characters in the story too. So they can dress up as shepherds, or they can dress up as sheep. They can dress up as wise ones, and they can dress up as angels, and they can come forward and be a part of the story without having to worry about any of those lines. All those lines belong to these fun animals that will help guide them through the story section by section. And in between those speaking parts from our animal friends, we get the opportunity to sing all of our Christmas favorites, led by the Contemporary Band and Natalie, which is a real treat. So for us adults that are in the room, there'll be something for us there too to help us engage that sense of awe and joy that comes along with celebrating Christmas Eve.
So, okay, why is it important for this church to create a space like this for their families?
Absolutely. Well, again, I think that our Christmas Eve services are beautiful here, whether you're in contemporary space or you're in the traditional space. There's no denying that the worship experiences that you'll have on Christmas Eve are really special. But I remember well being the parent of young kids and how squirrely they were on Christmas Eve, and how much I wanted them to not just experience beauty, but I wanted them to experience something special. And so this is a space where kids get to be kids, and we don't have to worry about if they're quiet at the right time. And we don't have to worry if they don't want to dress up, they just want to watch. And we don't have to worry if they don't know all the verses. We really want there to be one space where all the barriers are removed for families to come and just be and listen once again to the best story on earth. And I think that is best accomplished when we really are trying to create an opportunity for this to be playful and relaxed, which is what Storybook Christmas is meant to be.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful event. I was involved with it last year, just in the background, playing music. And I have to say that the service was so different than what we've done in the past, that for me, it was very refreshing. It was so much fun to see the kids involved that participate in, the children's moment on a regular Sunday, and you see all them interacting with the high school kids who are, puppeteers.
Which is one of my favorite parts of the experience. I love seeing some of the young people of our church, like our youth, hopping in to be leaders with our kids, because the truth is, kids think I'm fine, but they think our youth are magic. And so when you put youth in front of children and you give them the opportunity to feel what it feels like to be let loose their inner child a little bit and be silly with puppets and watch these kids' faces light up, they get the opportunity to be leaders, worship leaders in our church, which is really important. And our kids get to imagine themselves in that role at one point too. And that is one of my favorite things about the way we did Storybook Christmas last year, is having our youth be some of our key players as our puppeteers in that night. It was really special.
It was so much fun. Some great little actors up there.
They were fun.
Yep, zipping those jokes.
Yes, they improved upon the script a great deal. Yeah.
So, Tori, you're awfully quiet over there. As a pastor, how do you feel, or what's some of your favorite moments about Storybook Christmas? Why do you think it's important for us here?
I love Storybook Christmas. I have to say, when Eleanor first pitched the idea, I was a little uneasy about puppets on Christmas Eve. But, pastors, especially for some of our youngest friends, can often seem inaccessible or serious all the time. And I think it's important that they see their pastors want to have fun too and enter in the story with them, that pastors like to laugh and pastors like to play and pastors like to be silly. And I think it helps the adults in their lives understand that laughter and play and being silly along with our kids is important. It's not all about the pomp and circumstance. It's about having an experience together, like Eleanor said, that allows us to enter in that story. The story doesn't end when we sing Silent Night and blow out the candles. It just begins. And so it's an invitation for all of us to not take Jesus less seriously, but maybe take ourselves less seriously so that we can grow a little closer to Jesus.
I love that answer, Tori, because I do think this is an opportunity for parents to kind of watch some of the people that are mentoring them in faith, also mentor their children in faith at the same time. And the truth is, there are a lot of things that are very silly about the Christ child being born in a barn. Like, that is a super silly idea, and not at all what we would think about as the king or God coming to earth, that this would be where God would dwell. And so I think helping us as parents let loose of some of our concern about, is this appropriate, or am I being reverent enough? And instead seeing engagement and curiosity and playfulness as part of children's language being more important than being serious. I think that is a great modeling for parents.
Well, and this is such a preacher answer, but my favorite memory from last storybook Christmas is I was the narrator, so I was sitting in this big chair with this big storybook, and this little 2-year-old girl is just walking around, and she's completely free to do whatever she wants, and she climbs up the stairs and just climbs in my lap and sits next to me while I read the book. And so that our children have the freedom and the comfort to just get to do that during a Christmas Eve service is truly incredible.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think for the children and for the families themselves, it's more meaningful to see your children, interact in that way and really soak it in, as opposed to, a structured Christmas Eve service that's geared towards adults. They're not going to remember that, but they're going to remember this, and it's going to keep them coming back.
It's one of the gifts of worshiping with children is that sometimes we adults get to borrow from their awe, like their sense of wonder, and that comes so instinctually to kids, and I love that about working with kids, and especially on a night like Christmas Eve, being able to watch and bear witness to their experiencing the wonder of that night helps us find a little bit of that wonder too as adults, which I am really grateful for.
From a worship perspective, we often call liturgy or worship the work of the people. But a lot of times in worship now, not just at Canterbury, but just life in general in most churches, it's done mostly by the preachers and the choir, and people sit in the seats or sit in the pews. But Storybook Christmas breaks down those barriers. There's no longer, the band and the stage and everyone else. It's completely intermingled. And to me, that's what worship is all about. That there's no divisions, there's no professional Christians and spectators. It takes everybody in the room to make that service be what it is, and that's what worship should be.
Yeah, for sure. So, Eleanor, what should families know or expect to be prepared for when they come into the service for Christmas
that's a great
Eve?
question.
Yeah.
This is how we structure that service is that we want you to come as you are. So if putting on Christmas finery feels like a bridge too far, do not cross that bridge. Come in your jeans, just fine. Come in your favorite Christmas dress, just fine. Really, there is not a dress code at all associated with the service because kids are going to be invited to put dress-up clothes on. So feel free to come as you are, and know that we are working really hard to create an all-in-one experience. So if your family wants to to use this as your one experience of wonder and worship during Christmas Eve, that is really possible for you. And so whatever you would want to happen then on that Christmas Eve experience, just plan accordingly. But we also wanted to leave time for naps before Christmas Eve because we know that could be really helpful. So we are looking to start this service early at 1:00, and it will wrap up after 45 minutes ish. But it's intentionally kept to the kind of attention span that kids have, because we want them to be engaged, and then we want you to feel like this has just been a high point of a day that otherwise can be chaotic and hard. We want this to be the best, easiest part of your day. So whatever it takes to make it the best, easiest part of your day, that's what we want. We will have a nursery available. So if you have any teeny tinies that you don't think will weather the service very well, we're going to be fine with noise, because there will be noise. But if you would feel more comfortable putting a baby in the nursery, there will be nursery available. And I would advise families to come a good 15 to 20 minutes in advance, so kids have plenty of time to pick out what costume they want and be seated, so that when we get started at 1, everybody is ready to go to tell the story together.
It really is a well-oiled machine. When families show up right outside of Canterbury Center, there are all sorts of racks of costumes. And so, the kids can pick out what they want to be. Sometimes they like to mix and match. So we've got a wise one with a halo, and that's fine too. Or a shepherd with a crown, and that's also great. And that's part of what makes it wonderful. Like Eleanor said, there's no prescription. It's just come as you are.
So there might be folks listening to this podcast who don't have young children or children at all. It might be grandparents. What do you say to them who are thinking about, man, do I want to go to this storybook Christmas? What do you say to those folks?
Well, if you grew up loving a good Christmas pageant and you'd like to lay your eyes on one, this will have the flavor of those Christmas pageants from the days of yore without all the high intensity, like, is the line delivered well? So I think you will find all the things that were present there within this worship experience. And again, I have teenagers and I have a teenager and a college student now, so I no longer have small ones. And I still find this service to be the one that somehow taps into that really deep inner well of joy for me on Christmas Eve. And so I would absolutely invite members of our congregation that don't have any kids in their household to come and just bear witness to something wonderful. Plus, you can help sing out loud for all the Christmas carols, because we're going to absolutely try to work our way through some of the favorites. And of course, we will end with Silent Night, just like we do in our other worship services too, because that has become one of those traditions that so many of us look forward to as we close out our worship experience on Christmas.
For sure. And Tori, well, what do you hope the congregation walks away with after witnessing Storybook Christmas?
Well, Jeff, I hope they're not just witnessing it. I hope they're walking away knowing that they're part of the story too, that we're all part of the story. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that by just doing something new. And so my hope for the congregation is kind of like I said a little bit earlier, that we realize the story doesn't end when we blow out that last candle, but it's just getting started. And we've got a really big role to play.
I want to thank y'all for joining us on Canterbury Cast. And thank you to Eleanor and Tori for sharing heart behind Storybook Christmas. We hope to see you and your family on Christmas Eve at 1 p.m. in Canterbury Center for a joyful, wonder-filled celebration of the birth of Jesus. From all of us here at Canterbury, we wish you a Merry Christmas, filled with real grace, real love, and the joy of Christ.
Thanks for listening. To learn more about what's going on at Canterbury, follow us on social media or visit our website at canterburyumc.org.